Hey guys, welcome back. FXRP is around the corner. I have a feeling that it's coming this week or next week at the latest. I am super excited. We're going to watch this video real quick, and then I want to give you a few guidance on what to expect.
The first set of things that you'll be able to do on Flare is just a classic DeFi. Put your XRP into a DEX, Uni V2, Uni V3 kind of DEX, which allows you to earn LP rewards. That's a very simple, basic thing. The next level down is lending. So you're able to effectively lend your XRP to people, or borrow against, borrow dollars against your XRP, for instance, or borrow Flare against your XRP, stake it, and get the Flare rewards, the Flare drops, which I think is pretty interesting, aspect. But probably the critical flywheel of DeFi on Flare, XRP DeFi on Flare, will be what we're calling staking through Fireite, which is built by an institutional partner. And that allows you to stake your XRP, pretty low risk, in order to secure services called actively validated services. And you receive their token in the same way that you would if you were staking, any other stakeable token. So you receive their token in order to provide value for network security for ADSs. And this is pretty interesting aspect because you stake your XRP and you get a LST, a liquid staked token. So you get an LST of XRP, which you can then go and do other interesting things. You can borrow against that LST. You can borrow Flare and boost your yields by getting the Flare drops, and all of those kind of things. So quite interesting verticals. We're also onboarding neo-lending protocols. These are very different to the existing lending protocols. These allow you to essentially participate in a pool that is managed by a professional entity that effectively curates your risk. This is starting to get into the territory of regulated sort of DeFi. And then really the last thing we're very interested in having is a basis traded stablecoin. So this is a stablecoin in which you deposit XRP, you get a stablecoin, and then they take that XRP and they effectively create the stablecoin by hedging out the delta. This is the way that the token XRP moves against the market. They hedge out the delta in futures markets, and they can do this either on-chain through a perps market, or they can do it off-chain through a centralized exchange. Now, this is absolutely a product that requires KYC, AML, whitelisting. Not everyone's going to be able to deposit XRP and just mint this stablecoin, because effectively someone is managing that position on your behalf, and they need to make sure that you are effectively capable of managing that position on your behalf from a legal perspective. But it's a really, really interesting model, and I think it's like a really good institutional use case, other than what Ripple is doing for XRP, but a really good institutional use case for XRP in order to be able to create yield from this vast asset.
So yeah, guys, that's what's happening. I want to show you FXRP is launching pretty soon. And then I guess a little bit after, we're going to get the staked XRP that Hugo mentioned. And that's going to be super exciting because for FXRP to work on Flare, you have to have two markets. So if you only have FXRP and that loses the price peg, then there's no way to arbitrage it. So by having FXRP and staked FXRP, then that allows two different paths for arbitrage to balance the price and peg it to the original price of XRP, because you have to understand that this is a new asset and it doesn't follow the price just because. There has to be a mechanism, and that's arbitrage. So Hugo mentioned that you can borrow and lend your XRP. So in this case, I have SFLR lent, and then I borrow some stable coins here, and then I use these stable coins to do DeFi with, and then I can preserve my capital for price appreciation. You could also lend stable coins and then borrow XRP against it. So in the right market conditions, you can do that. When ETH came out, like right now, you're only getting 13% for supplying ETH. But when it first came out, it was more like a 40 or 50%. So if that's available just by bringing your XRP and depositing on a borrowing and lending, that's a pretty great deal that you can get. Then you have Spartex, where you can have liquidity pools. And this is going to be super exciting as well, because like I said, you get stable coins here, and then you enter with this balance in the liquidity pools. And that's going to be pretty exciting. And then you have Enosis as well. And there's some pretty great yields. Then we have Raindex, where you can do like fixed limit. This would work like in a centralized exchange, where you can say, I want to buy $100 of XRP at $2. And then if that price hits, you buy. You can do the auction-based cost averaging. That means that you say, okay, if the price of XRP is below $2, I want to keep buying. And if it goes all the way to $1, you're going to do larger buys. You can also do a two-sided dynamic spread. This is similar to an automatic market maker. So instead of having the liquidity pool where you're constantly trading, you can set up that if the price moves 5%, you buy, and then you want to have a 2% on top of that. You can this is super powerful trading language that was created. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of things going on with FXRP. My only warning to you is make sure that you learn and understand what you're doing. I have seen it over and over where people see the yield, they go all in, and they don't understand what's going on, and then they lose money, and then they say that it's a scam. It's not a scam. You just have to understand the dynamics and how it works. So I have a lot of videos in my YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, check why do you have less coins on a liquidity pool and how to keep healthy borrowing and lending. There's a lot of information. This is going to take some time. There's going to be a lot of FOMO right in the next few weeks, just people trying to get yield. And I highly, 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 highly suggest that you take the time to learn, start small, because if you mess up with DeFi, there's nothing you can do. I will for sure be there waiting for any market opportunities. And I think that if somebody makes a bad trade and you see it, you should take it. You're not forcing anyone to make that bad trade. So if you mess up, your money's going to be lost. And I don't want that. I want everybody to win. I think DeFi can be an incredible way to make money, but you have to learn. You have to take the time to understand the dynamics and make the right decisions. And I hope you enjoy this FXRP journey that we're going into. All right, guys, until next time.